want the 1 ton?
Do we have a 1 ton?
That's the 1 ton.
No, it's a 2 ton.
No, it's a 1 ton.
No. No, I want the 2 ton.
That one has folding legs.
You need connecting rods. They're in the south driver footwell.
Bring pistons, they're not connecting rod. You know which piston is which.
They're labeled.
Okay, it's on you.
Months since we last filmed. It is freezing. It's 56 degrees in here because the last time we filmed it was dead heat of summer. Now it's in the middle of winter. The car is covered in snow, so we moved inside. We got this laid out. This machine shop took so long just because we were doing a balance shaft delete kit on this and that kit just never arrived. Finally we just ended up going with a different one. And then we got this in here. After, I think it's been 2 full months now. It's finally in here, ready to be put together. We got the parts laid out. So we'll just start throwing it together. Start with the caps and crank. This thing needs a clean. It's been sitting outside for 2 months.
Should be a fun time, just gonna go piece by piece, get all the new bearings, all the new seals in, get everything good to go. Now there is one slight issue. We don't have an engine stand. We didn't invest in one. We tried to. We went to Harbor Freight, as I shot a little bit of, and there are no engine stands to be found anywhere in the Salt Lake Valley.
Yep. Then we went to Home Depot. They don't carry it in store. And of course we left it till last minute. So it was 4 p.m. today. And then when we started to look for an engine stand, at least we got this. So we found the Harbor Freight, the cheapest piston ring compression tool. At least we have one. This would have stopped us. We can go forward without an engine stand, I think.
Yeah.
We'll get the bottom end assembled, and once we have the bottom all buttoned up, we can just put it on the engine lift and just, we just won't go under it, essentially.
Yeah. A good place to start today, I think, though, is we need to get the old pistons assembled from the connecting rods because we're going to reuse those with the new heads. The new pistons did come with a new set of wrist pins as well, with all the hardware needed for them, along with the piston rings. So we're going to disassemble these old pistons. We're going to keep them labeled. We know which one number 3 is pretty easily. And yeah, that's going to be a little bit of, a little something what it's going to look like here. So
Before and after for you.
yeah, pretty much. So we'll start pulling some wrist pins out, get these disassembled, make sure we keep everything organized so we don't lose anything.
Look at this. You can see the damage of the shards of metal flying through the engine when it blew up. You can see the chipping.
Yep.
Or the
scoring marks.
The scoring marks, yeah.
So yeah, we're going to start disassembling pistons, reassemble them with the new piston heads, and then just start assembling everything into the motor. get the whole bottom end assembled, put the head on, do all the timing, head gasket, all the seals as we go. So yeah, we did have a new flywheel there, some new cam gears. Also, we initially said we weren't going to do a balance shaft delete kit. Do you want to explain why we ended up doing it?
Yeah, so we were going to do everything. We have actually the balance shaft chain and caps and everything in there. But we're going to end up probably returning those because when we got this to the machine shop is right next to a Saab shop, and they didn't even have the caps, the bearings for the balance shafts.
Balance shaft bearings.
Yeah, they didn't have the balance shaft bearings, and so they're apparently discontinued. Nowhere has them. Some shops that have stocked up on them, some lucky ones have them. And so I did some research, and there's literally no downside to doing a delete kit. There's a slight vibration, but other than that, it's fine. So
yeah.
we just ended up doing a complete delete kit.
Also, I was doing some thinking, and I think part of the reason the vibrations aren't as bad on the 9.5 Aero with the automatics is because it's an automatic, and your car has more kind of like mounts than the 9.3 manual does on the big end.
The manual also has stiffer mounts.
Yeah, but like my car only uses 3. I have one trans mount, small one in the back, and then 2 side engine mounts. This one had 4 mounts altogether.
Yeah, it's got 4 mounts, and all the subframe bushings on this 9.5 are already polyurethane, so it's already vibrates in
right.
In
and the Vigan doesn't use subframe bushings at all, so that's why in a high performance kind of Vigan output on a Saab like that, you do get a lot more vibrations. But on something like 9.5 Aero, that's an automatic with more mounts, dampens it more, so shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Okay, so first things first, we gotta put these on. Oil jets.
Piston cooling nozzles.
Yep. You can tell one of these took a slight hit when the piston blew.
I wonder which one it is.
Yeah, so we got a new one. This one's trash. We got this one. Brand new one. There we go. That's what they're supposed to look like. Looks good.
Yep.
A little whoop. Whoop.
So, line up the notch. Okay. Line up the notch. Over here. Press down. Solid click.
Not really a click, but a solid CD.
It's you can feel it's not moving anymore.
Well, I don't think the old ones were ever changed, right? So they had 200,000 miles on them.
Yep.
Who knows how many hours?
200,000 miles and 2 overheatings.
Yep, 2.
Yeah, I overheated it when I got here too.
Oh.
Slightly, very slightly. All right, so those are in. We gotta clean the crank.
Yep.
Make sure that's all nice and clean because we don't want that as mucky as it is right now.
Do you know where the woodruff key is?
It's in one of the bags.
Okay.
Should be in one of the bags.
Fingers crossed.
I put it in one of the bags. Okay, nope, those shims definitely go first. Forgot these. These go first. I'll be honest, I don't know what these are. I'm assuming they shim the crank so it doesn't move back and forth. But why not have that be part of the block?
Well, that's kind of what the crank caps do.
Yeah, so what are these for?
Don't ask me, I just work here.
You just film here.
Yeah. I think we put these back in my motor. I don't remember though.
Here's your vibration.
Maybe.
And I'd like to preface this. This is not the most ideal conditions to be putting in a crank with all this dirt around. I understand.
We're doing the best with what we got. And again, when this motor does eventually start to run, which fingers crossed it will be getting significant amount of oil changes before we actually do any, like hard driving on it. And before you can take it on drive, it's going to get an oil change after just idling. So we're going to flush out any kind of debris and stuff that might be inside the motor, make sure we don't clog the pickup. And yeah, make it all good.
It's not moving back and forth.
Yeah.
These shims did get pulled out though. They ride against the crank.
So it's probably just to space it.
Right there, that surface right there.
That's a wear surface, yeah.
Okay.
So crank caps with the bearings, and we'll move on to the pistons.
Wow. We're following, for anyone that knows Saabs, we're following the WIS instructions. WIS. Workshop information. Like, this
System?
is what Saab is telling us to do.
Yep.
We're not just winging it.
Yeah, this is, if you don't know Saab, this is a tool that's been made free after the company went under. It's basically an OEM manual, basically, for any component of the vehicle, how to disassemble or reassemble with diagrams, instructions.
Yep.
And you can basically disassemble or repair any component of the vehicle with those factory guides.
There's a guy in the Saab community, and I don't remember his name, but he made a website and made an online version, and that's where I got all this. I didn't even use. I have the application also, but it's just so much easier to use. So that's what we're following. So if it doesn't run, it's probably still our fault.
Yeah, it's definitely our fault. Because I followed that when I built my motor and it was
Slotted
fine.
ring, 2 thrust washers, and thrust washers. That's what they are.
Yes.
Main bearing between number 2 and number 3. Fit the washers with the embossed side facing towards the main bearing, so that the bearing surface is the right way round. Yeah, this bit. There's like a tiny little like
there's a lip on it.
Yeah.
Did you do it the right way?
Yes, they're towards the bearing. They're like this,
Okay.
because otherwise it would scratch the crank.
Right.
All right.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right.
I can pull it out. And we can check if you want.
It's not my motor.
All right, now and got me questioning shit.
You're pulling them with the crank.
Oh, now we're gonna wash that one.
Yep.
This side is smooth. This side has these 2 lips. And I know you can't see them, but they're like this square bit. And I can flick against it. So that goes towards the bearing. Hold on, they're all dirty.
Those
now.
go towards the inside of the bearing so they're not rubbing on the wear face on the crankshaft.
Yeah. I'm doing a reverse of what I showed, but.
Okay, that's all there.
That's tight. Yeah, you can see the yellow there. It's very clean though. Okay. These are the same. These are actually cracked. So they literally go only one way. That's not a machine surface. So these have to go exactly where they came from.
Can't mix up anything.
Yep. There we go.
Ooh.
That's the old bearing. That's the new one. And that's clean. Well, they're definitely worn.
Yeah. Not too bad, but definitely some wear on there.
There's definitely discoloring. But where the bearing is clean. These have 2 notches. Oh, they're numbered. That's nice to know. So, we f***ed up a little bit. I took the piston off, and so which cylinder this goes in matters, but this and this matters. And so now I don't know which is which. So the way I can kind of tell is here, this side's machined, this side isn't. So I'm gonna go off of the second one. This side's machined, this side's isn't. So this machined side, if this has a marking, that'd be nice.
So from factory, there is technically an arrow on there, but it's covered up by carbon. Just like these have the arrow on them.
Arrow, right there.
But this arrow will be pointing towards the front of the engine. Yeah, you can see it there.
So that's this way, which means the machined side goes this way. So that means this gets installed this way.
So that's the front of the engine, machine side on the closer side to us here.
Yeah, like this. goes in like that. With this.
Okay. And now this piston head also has an arrow on it. If I can get that on this shot here. There it is. Tiny little arrow on the side there, so that goes this way. Machine side, yep. So there you go. There's going to be some slop in that.
There's a lot. It's just more than I expected. Comes with new rods.
Wrist pin.
Wrist pin? There you go, wrist pin.
Yep, wrist pins.
See, he knows stuff, and I do stuff.
I just tell you what to do.
I know older cars, okay? This is past my generation. This is my kind of... I know this engine more.
Do
Granted,
you?
it also has wrist pins, but...
Yeah, like that's pretty basic stuff.
But I know this more than this.
I know a decent amount of terminology. So
Once you add fuel injection, I'm lost.
That's the best stuff in the
Okay,
world.
machined, arrow. Arrow to this side. So this... I'm gonna lube that.
Yep.
Oh, shut it.
I could help, but you know, I have a camera in my hands.
Content.
Yeah, content.
Oh, nice and lubed up. Okay.
I'm helping.
Come on, get started.
You can lube the inside of the piston too.
I got it. I will lube inside of this. I had some extra on my finger. Okay. Machined. Arrow. Come on. Push in. You just wiggle this a little bit to get it started and then it goes in. Okay. So that's our piston. Old rod. These forged from factory?
Vigan is.
This looks forged.
I know Vigan gets
Oh,
forged.
it's not forged. This is cast. This is very...
No, piston heads are forged only. Rods are cast.
Yeah, so cast rods, forged pistons.
Yeah, technically the OEM piston heads. Where'd it go? The OEM piston heads are technically forged, in air quotes, forged, but it's just not the highest level of kind of forged machine metal that we have nowadays. You know, the technology wasn't the same back then, so.
These are also cheaper than OEM now.
Right. Yeah, so these are both forged. These are just coated as well, just to help with the heat in the motor. But these are still, even though these are both technically forged, these are going to be much stronger than the OEM pistons ever would be. We're just inserting the holding clip there. It's really just kind of like a spring. You can see that there. It's really just a little half-moon spring. Yep. And it just sits in there.
You really can't see it, but there's a lip in there.
Yep.
And it just, I can't push that through anymore.
Yep, so push it all as much as you can on the other side, and insert your other spring. We are professionals.
Yeah. Hey, if we can do this, anyone can do this.
Yeah.
We're not even using an engine stand. There you go. So this will have some slop, but obviously once it's on the crank, it's not going to move anywhere. This should move snugly, and it does. It doesn't just drop. Feels good.
Yeah. So that's 104.
104.
Other three to do.
I'll do the rings also at the same time.
Rings I would do right before we put it into the cylinder wall.
All right.
Because then we can space them if we need to space them, compress them in.
1.
Otherwise they're going to start to just kind of go all over the place.
Here, we'll do it like this. That's 1.
Put them on the flat side.
1.
There you go.
This is 2. I mean, they're numbered.
Yeah. So we're just going to repeat the process on all four. Just kind of want to show you how the process actually is on the first cylinder there. Do the other four, get them all separated and put back together. Then we're going to space the rings, gap them if we need to gap them, compress them with our Harbor Freight ring compressor. Flip the block over 180 degrees, insert the pistons from the top, flip it again, put the rod caps on with all the new bearings. Good stuff. Alright, well, we have our 4 pistons fully installed here. We don't have rings in them yet because we needed a little bit of research on exactly the ring gaps to use here. Now when I did these with stock pistons, I just reused my pistons. I never did a forged build yet. I just got a new set of rings that were already pre-gapped. Now, this is over bore, and this is a set of rings from Wasner that came with the forged pistons. So we are just unsure if we should file these down to the ring spec that we are reading on their install, or if these are supposedly pre-gapped. So we're going to reach out to them, see if we can get some answers, just a little bit more research. Plus, we need a set of feeler gauges to measure the ring gap. So we can't really move too much further than that today, but we do have the crank installed. Next level, we'll just have to do the pistons with the rods, and get the top end all together.